if I go out and send 4 reps out on the road to go sell my Amway products, I'm not going to have an idea of what they're really saying about the product. When I launch it up on a Facebook, a Twitter, or say MySpace, and I say, look at Mark's new magazine, it's going out to hundreds of millions of people, and I'm also having responses, and they're talking about it between each other. It becomes viral. It becomes viral very quickly.
Okay. Can you explain viral for anyone who may not be clear on that?
Viral is basically, well, it could be anything. It could be a video, a blurb, or a picture that goes around, and it is shared and shared again and beyond the scope of imagination.
Shared and shared and shared and shared. Right. YouTube is what comes to mind when I think of viral. Right.
YouTube itself is viral.
Yes. Okay. Okay. Yeah, it's just blown up, hasn't it? Absolutely. So, okay, we got somebody looking in the window, so he might come in back over there. All right. Well, thank you for explaining viral. And also, you mentioned specifically in there that people, customers, are talking amongst themselves. Right? Key points. I'm glad you said that, because what I was hearing so far was that you're talking to your folks, you're talking to your potential customers, you're talking to your customers, you're talking even with your competitors, because you want to build a community, right? You have the same type of product service. It's good to know what the others are doing. They want to know what you're doing, right? So that's the interesting thing about social media marketing, is the dynamics are really turned inside out, and that's one of the things that we're going to take a look at here. Literally turned inside out. Traditional marketing, information was pushed out to consumers, right? I am XYZ company, and I want you to know I have this new product coming out or this new service coming out. So I'm going to bombard you with information. I'm going to put it on your TV. I want you to think back before smartphones and mobile devices and all that good stuff, Blackberries. So before the iPhone even. Think back to those days of your parents, back when we were a little younger. And in those days, everything was pushed out to us because we were sitting on the couch watching TV, right? And so what would happen is we were a captive audience. So you, the business owner, would bombard us with your advertisements about your product on TV, on radio, maybe in the newspaper, magazine, something like that. But that's completely turned inside out now, because no longer is it company XYZ that's doing all the pushing out. Instead, in social media and Web 2.0 marketing, and now Web 3.0 as it evolves, information is actually pulled out, as you can see, by consumers like you and I, right? We actually are the ones that are driving the marketing now. So while you guys are designing the websites, you're really not driving the marketing, if you think about it. Initially, you're getting that word out there, as you said, but once it's out there, it's out of your hands. And what you want to have happen is exactly that, is that consumers are engaging with one another, and they're the ones that are sharing in large numbers, the idea of being viral, and it moves fast. Because in traditional marketing, it would take days and weeks and months, right, for that information to get out there. So look what's happening. That's completely turned out inside out. And one of the very first places I really started reading about that was this book, Open Brand, The Open Brand, Kelly Mooney. And it says, when push comes to pull in a web-made world. And I was saying to Mr. Pollack, this would be, I believe, an excellent resource for you guys to have in your collection here in the classroom, or for you as potential business owners, web designers, when you get out there. This is an excellent book that explains, and I love the format of it. I'm a big reader, I read a lot. If you go to my LinkedIn, you see my book list. I read a lot, a lot, a lot. But the format is very, very easy, reader-friendly in terms of time, because I don't know about you, but my schedule is always really busy. And so you can go through this in short order. So the evolution of social media via cell phone technology is also kind of an interesting thing. So I want to show you something here. It's my turn. Take a quick look. Do y'all recognize these phones? Most of you probably weren't even born yet when this phone was out. The brick phone, I'm embarrassed to say I remember that phone. Now, I was a small one at the time, not too small, but I was a youngster. And as Michael Douglas showed you here, he was on his cell phone. Imagine putting that in your back pocket, right? Yeah, I don't think so. Circa 1970s, 80s, but then as you look, I want to show you this path. 1999 to 2006, the phones were starting to evolve a bit, and I kind of jumped a little bit in time here, but there's a reason for that. Then in 2006, 2008, you see the phone there, 2008, 2009, 2009, now 2010. So what you might notice here is the different styles of phones and how things were changing. This is directly proportional to what's happening in social media. And I say this is my journey because it is. I want you to notice how many years are here. Do that quick math. 7 years. Yeah, 7 years. I had a phone that looked like this for 7 years. Kept that little bad boy till it finally gave out on me. 7 years I had that thing. It worked great. Then I moved into a flip phone, my very first flip phone. How many years did I have that one? Still had it for 2 years. I can't remember if it even had a camera. Maybe yes, maybe no. But then I started moving into the big leagues. Now I have this nice big fancy, well, what I thought at the time was a big fancy screen, and I had a keyboard, the QWERTY keyboard, right, and I could text. I'm a good texter. I like to text. I'm pretty good for an old lady. About a year and a half I had this thing. But something happened right around here. Notice the year. 2008, 2009. 2009 is when I personally became introduced to social media. My world changed dramatically. My husband will tell you, and when he sees this video, he will agree, he created a monster. Because when I met my husband and got married in 2007, I was still kind of a technically challenged, let's say, right? Not anymore. Now I've got the iPad and the laptop and the phone and all that good stuff. What happened was, 2008, 2009, I went from this phone to this phone because what happened was I was introduced to Twitter, Facebook, and all the other social media things I could possibly get my hands on, and went into Verizon and said, I want that phone. It was the storm at the time. I want that phone. No, ma'am, your contract isn't going to be for several months. I don't care. I want that phone. And so we did what we had to do, my husband made sure of it, to get me that phone that day as we were leaving the store. And by golly, I had it, because I was tweeting on the way out the door. And I'm not even kidding. All right? So that's what happened. Social media changed how I wanted to use this tool. It wasn't just this thing to make calls on for emergencies or chat and make lunch reservations or what have you. Now I wanted to tweet, I wanted to update my status, I wanted to talk to my friends, right? That's what was happening. So I went to this. But then I wanted to really move up in the world. I wasn't caring too much about the iPhone at that point, but I liked Verizon, wanted to stay with Verizon, so I went to the Droid. Because I was doing my homework, as a good techno person will do, and learned that the Droid was an excellent, excellent choice. And so I went in that direction, and so now that's what I have. And when all of my workmates have their iPad out and we go somewhere where there's no Wi-Fi, guess what? They can't use their iPad. Why? There's no Wi-Fi for them. I can't. I just take this sucker out, turn that Wi-Fi on. Now I got a hotspot. It tethers. And somebody says, well, where's the cable? I said, there is no cable. It's wireless. My husband's like, oh, I've created a monster. But all of my colleagues, my teammates are saying, well, we can't do that. I said, sorry for you. I got things to do. I got to go get my work done. So we evolved, and I'm going to say we because I'm very representative of people in my age group who went from, well, I didn't really do that, but from close, but not quite. I went from here to here to here to here, but what's interesting is the number of years, right, that we started turning phones over. Now you guys are a little bit younger, so you probably started way up here somewhere, right? Little kids today already have their phones and so forth. But our phone cycle is representative of social media and how it has affected how we've done things. Now, how does that affect you as social media people or as marketing people, as web designers? We're moving to smartphones and we're moving to mobile devices, which means that as you're designing, and we were just talking this morning right before we started, Mr. Pollock and I, about what that means, apps and apps and apps. How many of you guys are creating apps? Anybody developing apps? Not yet? You're looking at me with
You
haven't learned it yet? It's the next step?
It'll have to be the next step.
It'll be the next step.
There's no way a company or client will accept that you can do their website, their brochure, their corporate ID, and their Facebook package and not build them an app. I mean, that would just be like ridiculous.
Yeah. Okay, tell me more about that, because that's a very interesting concept.
Well, I just feel like